There we go, that's better. Now you can hear me. Hello and welcome to another live stream. Episode 4 already. And also a huge thanks to everybody who's just joined. I can see a few people. Eric has just joined, so that's great. Thank you for joining, Eric. That's wonderful, and really appreciate you coming in to join the chat and also, contribute as well, so that's great. And I've also got a new pop-up chat function, for example here I can pop up one person's chat, and if anyone has any questions, then I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that you have about English and everyone else. And I can see here Anna Seldelby has joined, so hello, thank you ever so much for joining, I really appreciate it. And also huge thanks for everybody supporting over the past few weeks and the past few episodes, and it's great to have so many of you here join in our weekly live stream. Now, a couple of things that I should mention, so let me just clear this chat out of the way. And a couple of things that I should mention is that the live stream may have to move to another day, but I'll let everybody know ahead of time what day it might be. And also, it may have to change the time, but I think 1 p.m. at the moment is all right. I'm aware that the clocks are going back in the UK, so this may cause a few issues with regards to how many people are going to be watching or whether it's a convenient time, but it's 1 p.m. each time, and then when the clocks go back for the winter, daylight saving hours or whatever they call it, then it will be an hour before, but I think the clocks go back at the end of the month or something like that. I'm not too sure, but we'll have to see. Anyway, so any questions that you may have, please feel free to put in the chat, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. And also any news or information that you want to share with me, any blog posts, please put them in the chat, any links, and I'll have a look at the blog posts along with everybody else here as well. So it would be great to see what others are doing and what other teachers are involved with as well. So that's going to be great. Anyway, what I thought I first would do is share a blog post that I came across earlier today, quite a useful task and an activity, a lesson based on a song, and I really like this activity, so I'm going to go to my website sharing, and you may have to wait one moment because I've not really looked at sharing website pages just yet. I may have to amend it slightly, so just bear with me one moment. Yep, I can see here. Let me go, and I've got a nice blank screen at the moment, and you're going to see this. Okay, right. So one thing that I would like us to have a look at, and let me just resize this website. Bear with me, and put it in like so. Okay, so really useful website. Great post. I really appreciate someone who wrote this. It's a blog or a website that I would recommend everybody to have a look at, because there's a load of teacher material and lesson ideas and plans included on this website. And let me just grab the link and put it in the chat. So this particular website is great. Yeah, so it's essentially a lesson idea for songs or music, yeah. And if you have a look at this page, you can see that you got the lyrics of the song. Can you see my mouse? Let's see. I'm not sure if you can, but if you have a look at start, you can go across, and there's a gap, and the students need to have a look at either the articles a or an, and then follow through. And it's a lovely listening exercise where the students have to listen for particular detail, and I really like it. And normally you'll have it on a page and the students have to underline it, but I like this maze type activity. It's a song from Somewhere Only We Know, or something like that. And the singer walks across an empty land. And I came across it on Twitter today. Thought I'd share it here, and that sort of thing. So feel free to have a look at it. You've got the PDF, you've got the lyrics, and I like the fact that this teacher's decided to create the maze. And it would be nice to try and do something similar with other songs. And it's quite an engaging activity. It would be nice to see how it could be incorporated or adapted for the online environment when you're teaching remotely, and whether you could use it in Jamboard, because you can copy and paste the image into Jamboard, I guess, and then the students can circle on Jamboard. Okay, and we have Pete here. So thank you ever so much, Pete. And thank you for your idea of it being a great site. I agree. On the same page, elt.wordpress.com. Really good website for those that are interested. And Pete, if you're not sure of Pete, I've shared his website before, so let me get up his website. So bear with me, and I'll get this up now, and we'll go back to our main planning. And here, Pete offers a variety of lesson ideas as well, one of which I included in my weekly newsletter. And if you're into joining my newsletter, I send it out every Saturday at 1 p.m, sharing blog posts, news, videos and books and that sort of thing. So feel free to join my weekly newsletter. Again, I'll get this up, and I'll get the last issue. And so you can see here I included and embedded a few videos, something about work and life, and some useful books that you could incorporate, and blog posts as well. Online CELTA opportunity, which I'll give a bit more information about later if anyone's interested. And if you want to join my weekly Saturday scribblings, I call it, then here's the link as well. It would be great if you could join and be part of our community here. So so Pete's website, really useful, really enjoy reading his ideas and his insight into lesson ideas, material writing, news and views. And you can see just below here we have material, news and views. And he tends to do a monthly insight into writing news and that sort of thing. So thank you ever so much, Pete, for keeping up, and congrats on the 5k likes on your page on Facebook. So good job. Okay, right, we're going to move on, and also thank you ever so much, Pete. The newsletter's going well. It's quite nice to do something quite regular and quite and to have some sort of routine, and particularly like this live stream every week, every Monday at 1 p.m. And it's nice to have like-minded teachers and tutors and that sort of thing join and ask their questions, ask their advice, share their advice and that sort of thing. So if you've got any questions yourself, then I'll be happy to answer any questions. It could be about online teaching, it could be like face-to-face teaching, it could be about the CELTA course, if you're thinking about the CELTA course, or other aspects of teaching, or that sort of thing. So please feel free to put it in the comment, and I'll get back to you with my own views, thoughts, and ideas. Anyway, looking into what we have now, I've been approached by a CELTA centre, and if I just share this screen here, you can see that ETI, Education and Training International, are looking for CELTA trainees. So for those that want to join the CELTA course, you can sign up for the online course. The benefit of an online course rather than face-to-face is obviously you don't have to be in the same location geographically. You don't have to be in the same country to participate and undertake this initial teacher training course for English language teaching. So that's one potential benefit. The second benefit is that you learn all the skills necessary to obviously teach within a remote environment, and you can put those skills straight into practice once you've completed your CELTA course, and it will be great work and great skills that you acquire, because some people, like for me, for example, I did the face-to-face CELTA course, and some other teachers done maybe the Trinity Cert test. So I know Pete done the Trinity Cert, and it was all face-to-face. So you had, it was like a 4-week, sometimes it's 5-week course where you're teaching. It's quite intensive. There's quite a bit of flexibility with the online CELTA course. And the face-to-face one didn't necessarily give me the skills to teach remotely, because I'm going back 15 years or so. And it was useful for the classroom environment, the face-to-face environment. But nowadays, in this day and age, with the the pandemic and everything else like that, then a course which offers the support necessary for an online environment is crucial. So you shouldn't fall short of the skills that you need to have really to teach online. Anyway, looking a bit further on, there are a couple of things about what is the CELTA, what is CELTA Online, and why study with ETI, benefits of studying online, which I've kind of touched upon, and everything else like that. So if there's any teachers or potential teachers that, wannabe teachers that want to join this, then let me put the link in the chat. So just bear with me, and I will add this in the chat. Okay. So feel free to have a look, see what they're offering, if it's suitable for you. And you essentially have a quick form to fill in, a quick short test, 15-minute interview, and then you're ready to go on to the next cohort of this CELTA course. So have a look there. Okay, right. Any questions? Feel free to add your questions in the chat. Be happy to answer any, and let's see how we get on today. Right, I'm having a quick look on various social media to see if there's any questions coming up on Twitter or Facebook. It'd be great to accommodate those questions. Let me have a look. No. Okay, VGO. Okay, right. Now, I've got one question here that's just popped up in the chat. Let me bring it up. Okay, so VGO Old School, thank you ever so much for your question. You say, hello, do you reckon that I, as a Polish native, am better off going to the UK for my CELTA course, or some country that will mostly have other non-natives enrolled in the course? That's a really interesting question. Essentially, the main criteria, I guess, for the CELTA or the Trinity Cert is that you need at least a C1 level of English. You could prove this with the qualifications, with the sort of achievements you've acquired from assessments like the not the PET, you got the PET preliminary, I guess. I'm not sure. There's certain Cambridge assessments that you can achieve, or the IELTS on a certain level. And if you can prove that you got a C1 level of English, not just reading and writing and the grammar and the vocabulary, but the communication, because a course like the Trinity Cert or the CELTA is focused on communication. If you can prove that you have the ability to communicate at C1 level or above, then that would be great. Essentially, regardless of natives and non-natives, Cambridge, I believe, they have the set assessment criteria. They have a criteria where each centre should have certain standards, and that the trainees should have certain standards, which is why they do the assessments and the interviews and everything else like that. But it's entirely your prerogative whether you decide to do a CELTA course in the UK or in your own country. I've worked with many great teachers whose first language wasn't English. They had their first language was Polish. They did their course in the UK. They were very professional, very hardworking, and I would always have recommended them for other work outside of where I was. I suppose if you do a course in your country, you're going to be mixing with teachers or potential trainees who have the same level of English as you. They're going to be native or non-native, or the same first language as you, and that could actually help you, where you could try and help each other or negotiate along the course. If you want to do the UK route, you can do, but it's going to get a bit expensive in that respect. And you've got to travel abroad. You have to find the accommodation. You have to pay for the accommodation. You have to pay for the course. You have to pay for the food, subsistence, everything else, and it all adds up. But if you're based in a country where the CELTA is available, then you can do it. And as I've mentioned before, you could do an online course, so you could be mixing with trainees who are not necessarily located in the same country as you, but are also based in Europe or even further afield. And you don't need to be doing a physical course, because the online course is just as what's the word? My mind's going blank at the moment, but the online course is just the same as a face-to-face course with the CELTA. I'm not entirely sure about the Trinity Cert TESOL. Peter Clements, he's probably best at knowing it because he's done the Trinity Cert TESOL. So yeah, I hope that helps VGO Old School. Anyway, we've got a few more questions here. Eric here, he says, what are you busy with these days? And I've got another question here, which is also, have you been able to get more teaching hours? Now, am I busy? Not particularly. I'm involved with a course at my university, and it's only 2 hours a week. There's not many international students, so the type of, the work has kind of dried up at the moment, unfortunately. And so I'm really going to be answering Eric, and DOS is great. their questions in terms of my work and my teaching hours. And so have I been able to get more teaching hours at my institute, at my university? No, not at the moment. As I mentioned, the pandemic has kind of affected the whole industry in the UK. There's almost no one travelling to the UK to study English or to do a face-to-face course. That's out of the question. That's gone. And also the private tutoring that I do is all right. It's picking up, but it's by no means commensurate to what I was earning face-to-face teaching for an institute or a university. So I'm not particularly busy teaching-wise. I do the occasional lessons here and there, and I really enjoy teaching, which is why I've got this channel and everything else. I'm passionate about teaching. Funny enough, I did have an interview for an institute up north for another university, full-time permanent position, but unfortunately I couldn't take that job because I'm based in the south, and my son's education is important. I can't really pick up and travel all the way north with my family. It just wasn't possible. So I'm now in the position, winter time, it's like going back 10 years when I was working predominantly in the summer from March to October, November for a private language school, and then the winter breaks would kick in and you'd have no work for 2 or 3 months. That's when I first returned back to the UK. So I'm now back, fast forward 10 years later, I'm now back in the same position with no work for even more, from October to March, I guess. So it's pretty quiet. I guess a lot of teachers, English language teachers in the UK have suffered, or outside, people abroad have suffered because there's a lack of students willing to go for an online course, or a lack of students on the face-to-face course. So it's pretty tough, I guess. But I do hold out hope, and there's a couple of things, a couple of irons in the fire. Is that the right word? I guess so. Anyway, if it's not to worry. So there's a couple of things in progress, and one thing that I need to do is just go out and do some work, whatever it is. So I guess I'll have to do delivery driving and just do that. Fortunately, that is flexible enough so I can continue my online course with Sussex, and also have that commitment, but also have the chance to have the weekend off and spend time with family and that sort of thing. So that's where I am at the moment. Other than that, that's about it. It's pretty tough. Okay, David's here. Thank you ever so much. Cheers, David. Really appreciate your feedback and your insight. Thanks for the positivity there, and the streaming overlays and everything else like that. If anybody started watching my first episode, it was hit by technical difficulties. The second one, I didn't know what I was doing. By the third one, everything was all fixed, and I was able to add all these overlays and everything else like that, and embed the comments from people on YouTube. So it's by no means error free, or there's certain things I need to do. But yeah, thank you ever so much, David, for your insight. But it would be great to hear what others are doing, whether they're able to find work and teaching, and if they're not teaching, what are they doing to supplement their income as well, because it's a difficult time for many teachers around the world. And yeah, there we are. But any questions, any insights, anything you'd like to share, then let me know. It would be great to have your insight as well. But yeah. Right, now let's move on and let's have a look to see if there are any other questions on other sources of social media. So let me have a quick look. It's always useful to go beyond just this YouTube for questions. Right, now I'm going to share a screen here. There was quite a nice thing and on my group here, the CELTA group. Here there was a question. Quite an interesting question about the CELTA course, and also does it help out with employment in the UK, especially for a person that's just starting out with teaching. Very insightful, very useful and valuable question that needs to be asked and needs to be answered. So if you do hold a CELTA, then you can find work in the UK, but you need to be eligible for the visa and for employment in the UK. Since the UK has removed themselves from the EU, there's certain rules and regulations, I suppose, that are required. But since the pandemic has hit, and there's not many private language schools offering residential places at the minute, we haven't really got to that position yet of what needs to be offered and what are the rules and regulations for visa and that sort of thing for schools. And a lot of schools, private language schools that offer residential programs, rely upon a lot of staff, not just from the UK, but further afield in Europe, to come over to help out with summer programs and that sort of thing. So it'll be interesting to see where schools are in terms of, what they're able to offer for teachers and activity staff that are based in Europe, and what the rules and regulations are around employing people from Europe. I know if I have to go to Europe to work, then there's certain rules and regulations that the employer has to offer. So it's by no means a walk in the park. But yeah, since Brexit, things have kind of shifted, and the UK have taken quite a stricter stance in terms of employment and eligibility of working in the UK for those that are based overseas. So interesting question. Now, the second part of this question is there any work in the UK for English language teaching? And I would say no. For those that are starting out on teaching at the moment, in this day and age, I guess, for teaching, you're not going to find a job. You're not going to find a residential job. You're not going to find a summer school program just yet. But hopefully by 2022, things will start to open up. But it's not going to be like the heyday of the 2010s, the noughties and 90s and what have you. It's going to be quite slow, and things will develop and confidence will return, but it will take time for programs to be like they were 5 years ago or so. Okay. So the EFL industry in the UK is kind of on tenterhooks. I suppose the more suitable work around in this industry at the moment is for people who are going to be working at universities and colleges. So we'll have to see in terms of that. Unfortunately, that's where we are at the moment. Okay, moving a bit further down, let me see if there's any other interesting questions or posts. And let's see. Now, there was a post, actually, Joe Kakonga. If you don't know who Joe Kakonga is, she's one of the most widely recognized trainers for the CELTA or supporters for the CELTA. And let me just share her website, which I've just brought up now. Okay. Now, Joe Kakonga, Eltrainingcom. Again, let me just share this link. Bear with me, I'm trying to type and also spell correctly, and it's kind of difficult at the moment whilst I'm chatting. So there we go. So Joe Kakonga, she set up a variety of different courses, things for teachers, things for the CELTA, and variety of different courses, some of which you can pay for, some of which are free. And one thing that she included is a voice or video creation for educators program. And I like this. I like this because of the fact that it's really revolving around video creation, content creation, like YouTube and what I'm doing at the moment, and how useful it will be for teachers. So, all you need to start video creating is your smartphone. Okay, and if you've got a smartphone like an iPhone or a Samsung, then you're set to go. You could go down the route of more technical equipment like the microphone I've got here or the video, Sony video that I'm using. But essentially, I started off with my phone and recorded with my phone. And I remember having to prop up my phone on boxes and try and make sure it doesn't fall down, and then hit record, and then I was ready to go. But essentially, Joe has started a new course for teachers who want to develop the skills necessary to make video, educational video content. And if you have a look, it's, I believe, an 8-week course. And you can see here it's about 6 to 8 hours a week for the course. There's some basic equipment that you need, and let me just zoom in here. And so here, just a commitment to work over 8 weeks, 6 to 8 hours a week commitment for the course. No previous edit or video making experience, but you'll work and get feedback on your own level. Basic equipment, so a phone or laptop will be fine, with a tripod or stand. They're not that expensive. Any applications that you can use on your iPhone, iPad, laptop, that would be great. You've got Screencast-O-Matic and LumaFusion on that sort of thing. You've got Camtasia, which is a video application that you can use on your iPhone or Samsung device, I believe, and online input sessions. And if you have a look down here, you've got week 1 and 2, introduction to the course and editing 101. You've got the equipment, etc., etc. Unfortunately, the course has all been signed up. There's no more spaces available, but the next course will run from April to May 2022. So if anyone's interested in video making, video editing, then check out this course for 2022. Okay, so the voice course, that would be great. But yeah, really interesting thing that Joe Kakonga's looking at, and I'm really interested in this because video editing, video creation is much more than just hitting record and then sharing something for your students. So there's a lot more that can be done now with the technology, which is accessible for all, and it all starts with the iPhone or the Samsung phone in your pocket, and you can create quite interesting videos for students and for other teachers, I suppose, and in that manner. Okay, so Joker Conga, definitely worth having a look at what sort of content is available, or free courses and that sort of thing. Okay, right. I've got another question here on my CELTA group. Again, does the CELTA help with employment in the US? Again, the same sort of question for the UK, the same sort of answer. Looking a bit further down, this was quite nice. I enjoyed reading this. The palindromists, I guess Pete will like this. So Pete is quite a funny chap. He likes his puns and that sort of thing. But the palindromists, the same word spelt forwards as well as backwards as well. Let's have a look at any other questions. Can't see anything else at the moment in terms of questions. Let's have a look at my usual book. Couple of teaching tips for 101, and one book here that I really enjoy using is by Penny and she has written a book of 100 teaching tips. It's very similar to what Eric did from Etiquette. He done a book about 100 tips for teaching or something like that, and I'm sure if Eric shares the link with me on Facebook, then I'll be able to share that link for everybody else. But anyway, I'm going to go in and have a look at one thing. And tip number 13 is to make the lesson interesting. And as you can see here, make the lesson interesting. Now, making the lesson interesting is probably one of the most important aspects of teaching, even online as well. You need to try and make your lesson as interesting as possible, because if you don't make your lesson interesting, it's gonna, you're going to suffer. The students aren't going to engage. They're not going to enjoy the course. There's nothing memorable about the course or the lesson, and it will affect discipline, I suppose, particularly for young learners. So if you're teaching kids or older kids, teenagers, young adults, if they find it boring, if they don't find it interesting, then they're going to have difficulty engaging, and you're going to have difficulty with discipline. So one way you can make your lesson interesting is to have quite an engaging warm-up. So you immediately get the interest from students. One way you can change the warm-up is to move the students around. If you're teaching in a physical classroom, I would put the chairs somewhere, or move the tables out the way and get all the chairs in the front. And the students come in and go, whoa, oh, the environment's changed. I wonder what's happening today, sort of thing. Or you could nominate particular people to sit in different places and change the dynamics that way, rather than the same students sit in the same place and that sort of thing. Another thing is to maybe try and use some pictures or PowerPoint or something, rather than just talking. So a bit like today's live stream, where I'm using the browser, the websites that I've been sharing, the pop-up with the chats from everyone, which is great. Again, thank you for your questions. Any questions, please put it in the chat. I'll be happy to talk about those. So anything that can engage others, that makes it more interesting, using visuals and PowerPoints and more interactive, will make your lesson more interesting. And also using games in the class as well. So if you can use games in the class, then you'll be pretty popular with the students. And one thing that I was always taught was when you're finishing your class, students will normally remember a little bit in the beginning, a little bit in the middle, and quite a lot at the end. So after maybe the last 10 minutes of the class, it's always important to try and use a game at the end, so the students are leaving and they've got big smiles on their faces, and they'll remember those last 10 minutes of playing quite a competitive game. And there's a variety of games that you could use. The common ones are like 20 questions, where students ask closed questions, whether it's like do you, are you, have you, will you, and the student that you give a particular word or phrase that you've taught or want them to review, you give them that, and they can only answer yes or no, and all the other students have to try and figure out what that particular word or phrase is. So 20 questions, you basically give students or groups of students the ability to ask for 20 questions, and then the team or the student that has the correct guess gets a point. And then you could keep running that game for 10 minutes, and then the students with the most amount of correct or the most amount of points are the winners, and that sort of thing. Another one is the popular hangman. Very limited technical, very limited prep needed. If you're doing online, I wonder if there's an online hangman. Let me have a look. I'm sure there is. So I'm just having a quick look at hangman here. Got hangman play words. I suppose that's automated. Let's have a look here. Hangman for free. New hangman. Can't really nominate particular. Let me just close some of these tabs. I'm looking for a hangman where you can try and find out or use your own words. So play with friends or random opponents. No. Single players. Player unlimited. No, you can't really use your own words. Okay. Hangman.io. Okay. If anyone knows of a hangman, online hangman, make your own. Yeah, make your own hangman online. Make your own hangman. Okay, so I've got little words here. This would be interesting. So it's back to hangmanwords.com. Send your friends a link to the hangman game using customized words or phrases. That would be interesting. I'm going to share this link. So there we go. So if you are able to create or use your own words, then you could send it off to different students, I guess, and get them to complete as soon as possible. Yeah, that'll be useful. I just received a pop-up. Anyway, so yeah, you could have a look at using an online hangman if you're not in the physical classroom yet, to engage the students. And this is one website I'm going to link into my weekly newsletter. And what does Penny say? Well, yeah, use games. She says use activities that involve all or most of the students at once. So it's the usual thing that we tend to use or tend to do in the classroom. Use pictures, as I've mentioned. Personalize. Oh yeah, I suppose this is the most important aspect of teaching. When you're teaching either online or face-to-face, you've got to try and personalize it to the students, and it's very important to bridge that gap, so to say. So if you're teaching students, try to learn a bit more about their interests and their hobbies and what they do in their family, because then you could bring out topics or activities which they will have a connection with, and they'll be more than happy to try and, they'll be more interested if you include a topic that is of interest to them. I suppose one example that I had was when I'm teaching privately to a student from Colombia. She is involved in the tech industry. She's a tech influencer, I suppose you could say, on Instagram, and she's always involved with technology. She has her own radio program in Colombia, and so a lot of our lessons revolve around the latest developments with technology. So for example, earlier last week, I think it was on Monday, there was the what was there? It was the Apple event where they were introducing the new lineup of the MacBooks and everything else like that. And I had to watch the event. So if I go here, so I ended up watching the Apple event. Where is it? I can't seem to find it at the moment. But they've got the new MacBook Pros and what have you. I ended up watching all that and making notes, and I ended up writing down notes and then discussing it with my students. So it's always important to try and customize your lesson based on what your students are involved with, and particularly for adults, so those that are involved, say for example in tourism, you have to try and find articles or news articles about tourism. It's always helpful in that respect. Anyway, let's have a look, see how things are going, if there's any other points asked in the Facebook group. I can't seem to find anything else here at the minute. Okay, I've got one question that's popped up. So let me just share here. Okay, so question here by a person in our CELTA group. She says, hello, I hope everyone's safe and healthy. Does anyone know of a centre currently offering a face-to-face CELTA program? Thank you. There were a couple of answers. There was another CELTA group, I suppose, at this place here. Someone mentioned the Berlin School of English in Germany is offering face-to-face classes and that sort of thing. If you do, essentially what you can do is have a look for CELTA Courses Cambridge. And let's have a look at Cambridge. And if you go to this website here by Cambridge Assessment English, you can look at all the information about the CELTA. And nowadays they've got face-to-face online and a sort of blended hybrid approach, a combination of both. So they've included a variety of resources, which is much more than what they used to offer, and questions like why you should and the benefits of teaching English as a foreign language. So let's see if there is. I believe there's a way of finding a centre. Here it is. So you can find a center, and let's see, you can select a location. So let's say, I don't know, Malaysia. I've never been there. Would love to go there. You can select a center, a city, CELTA online. So there's either of these two. Let's select CELTA and let's have a search. And then you've got essentially two. You've got one in Malaysia and one in Skudai, I guess. Malaysia. You've got the contact details and the telephone number. And essentially, if you're not sure if that course is currently online because of the pandemic or face-to-face, then get in touch with the person, the contact, and email them, find out. And then you'll be able to determine, okay, is it a face-to-face course or is it online? And then you'll be able to determine which one would be suitable if you want to do online. Okay. Now, I think that's about it. Let me just have a look at the chat. We've had quite a few people join us, so thank you ever so much. Really appreciate that. And also thanks for everybody who's stuck around for the minute. And, thank you once again for everybody deciding to join our weekly chat. We got about 9 minutes remaining, so if there's any final questions that anyone wants to ask, feel free to post it in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer any questions you have. And I thought what I would do to end the live stream, I suppose, in the final few minutes is I've got a poetry book here, and I don't know about you, but I actually enjoy reading poetry. I'm going to choose one poem to read, and something not too long, and hopefully you enjoy the poem, or it connects to you as well. But yeah, I've chosen one poem from at random in that book. Okay, any final questions or any points that anyone wants to make? Let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to have a quick look finally at looking at any other blog posts which are recommended. So let me just close off a few of these tabs. Listening intently. Okay, thank you ever so much, Eric. So yeah, I guess everybody's listening intently. Thank you. I appreciate that. I found a really interesting blog post, 11 don'ts for becoming an effective teacher. So let's have a look here. So we have this website here, ELTT Guide, elttguide.com. And this blog post is about 11 things that you shouldn't do for becoming an effective teacher. Okay. Really interesting. So the first one, rushing a lesson. Yeah, so don't rush your lesson. Actually, when you think about your lesson, it's always nice to plan your lesson according to what you set out to achieve. If you have too much to deliver, you're going to be rushing that lesson. Vocabulary, it could be missed completely, or it could be skimmed over very quickly. I always spend at least 15-20 minutes with my students going over important vocabulary, breaking it down, looking at word families and that sort of thing, looking at pronunciation. It's one thing that I value now, because I never really looked at vocabulary in greater detail when I was getting started in teaching. The third don't is missing the most important goal for all students, and that's for them to communicate. So if they don't have an opportunity to communicate, then they're not going to get much from the lesson. The fourth one, discouraging students speaking up in class. That's obvious. So more student talking time, and talking too much. Less teacher talking time is required. And I was always told on my CELTA course, focus on teacher talking time. Reading preparation notes while teaching. Yeah, don't read from a book and you're hiding behind your notes. Translating every item into the mother tongue. Definitely not. However, when I lived in Korea, I learned all the days of the week in Korean because I wanted to demonstrate to my students that if I can learn the days of the week, and these were little kids, if I can learn the days of the week, which is not easy in Korean, then, if I'm old and forgetful, they can learn the English days of the week quite quickly as well. Making the class climate boring, already gone over that earlier in this live stream. Make it interesting, and I think it was Pennier's 100 books, make the lesson interesting, which we kind of looked at today. Starting the lesson directly and formally, always good to make it as natural and simple and informal as possible. Keep the whole idea of the lesson relaxed and easy. Okay, asking students, do you understand? I had that. I was always asking, do you understand? And they would go, yes. But they didn't really get it. And then ignoring the importance of an ongoing classroom and classroom assessment. So interesting blog post to finish off today's stream. So 11 don'ts of the classroom. So there's that link. Now, let's go back to our pop-up. So, yeah, thank you ever so much, Eric, for listening. And we have Esmeralda here. So, Esmeralda, hello, welcome. Not sure if you've just joined, but if you have, welcome. Really appreciate you joining. Or the more the merrier, I suppose. And if there are any other teachers that wish to join our weekly live stream, then it's available every week at 1 p.m. UK time. What I did mention earlier was that the UK time, the winter time, the clocks are going back soon. So just keep an eye on my channel. I'll be sharing the link for next week's live stream very soon. But yeah, you're very welcome, Esmeralda. And if you have any questions about teaching, anything else like that, that would be great. And Eric, thank you ever so much. Good idea to read a good blog post. I'm going to keep this a regular feature. I really like it. Now, I'm going to be finishing off with a poem because I know some people are waiting. I've got Eric here who's waiting for my poem, and I've chosen a short one. And this poem is called The New House. Okay, so The New House, and it's by Edward Thomas. Okay, so it's between 1900s and 1942. Okay, all right. I hope you're ready. I'll put on my poetry voice. Now, first, as I shut the door, I was alone in the new house, and the wind began to moan. Old at once was the house, and I was old. My ears were teased with the dread of what was foretold. Nights of storm, days of mist, without end, sad days when the sun shone in vain, old griefs and griefs not yet begun. All was foretold me, naught could I foresee, but I learnt how the wind would sound after these things should be. Very nice poem by Edward Thomas. Thank you ever so much for everybody joining today's live stream. Really appreciate it. Got quite a few people that joined. Nice to have Eric join for the entirety of today's live stream. Also, thank you again to Peter, who joined us earlier today. And it was nice to share his blog posts and also share a couple of other blog posts. And also huge thanks to everybody who had asked different questions. It was great to have such a variety of different questions and to cover quite a few things as well. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely week. Enjoy. Katerina, yeah, incredible. Thank you. I guess that's the poem, not me. But yeah, thank you. So thank you ever so much. Have a lovely week. And I hope you enjoy what your week has to offer. And I'll see you next week at the same time with more blog posts, more poems, and more of your questions. It would be great to have more of your questions. So thank you ever so much. And stay safe, happy teaching, and take care, and bye-bye. Now I need to try and work out how to end this before the end. But I'm going to put down my countdown timer, but don't worry. I'll see you next week, and bye-bye.